Before Nigeria stood as a unified nation, its lands were home to diverse, powerful kingdoms and empires. The Nok civilization, which flourished as early as 1000 BC, was known for its advanced terracotta sculptures. Far to the west, the Oyo Empire rose, known for its political structure and military strength. In the south, the Kingdom of Benin emerged as a hub of culture and commerce, famous for its remarkable bronze art. These kingdoms thrived until the arrival of European traders and missionaries in the 15th century, which would begin to reshape the region's history. By the late 19th century, the British Empire had set its eyes on West Africa, establishing control through treaties, force, and exploitation. In 1914, in an effort to streamline administration and bolster economic control, the British merged the northern and southern protectorates. This marked the birth of a new political entity, Nigeria. However, this unification was not based on the will of the people, but rather on the convenience of colonial rule. Nigeria was a country made up of many different ethnic groups. The House of Fulani, Yoruba, Igbo, and others, each with its own language, culture, and political system. These differences, which were once celebrated, would later fuel tensions. Colonialism introduced modern infrastructure, railways, schools, and industries, but at a heavy price. Resources were extracted, and indigenous cultures were suppressed. Despite the divisions created, the Nigerian people did not remain passive. The Aba Women's Riot of 1929 stands as one of the earliest signs of defiance against colonial policies. Women, tired of oppressive taxation and the erosion of their traditional roles, rose in protest. This rebellion would inspire future generations of activists. The road to independence was long and challenging. Nigeria, like other African nations, watched as global events unfolded. The world wars, the rise of independence movements in other colonies, and the weakening grip of European powers. As the 1950s rolled on, so too did the push for Nigerian independence. Leaders emerged, each with a vision for a free Nigeria. Nnamdi Azikiwe, known as Zik, championed the idea of a united Nigeria. He believed in Pan-Africanism and self-determination. Obafemi Awolowo, the intellectual leader from the Southwest, pushed for federalism, understanding the need for Nigeria's ethnic groups to have regional autonomy. Ahmadu Bello, the Sardana of Sokoto, prioritized the interests of the North, a region historically isolated from the rest of the country due to colonial policies. Though these leaders came from different backgrounds, they were united by one common goal: to end colonial rule. In 1959, Nigeria held its first general elections, setting the stage for self-governance. And then, on the morning of October 1st, 1960, it happened. In Lagos, the capital, a ceremony was held. The green, white, green flag of Nigeria was hoisted, replacing the Union Jack. In the crowd, there was a sense of pride and euphoria. Nigeria was free. Nnamdi Azikiwe was sworn in as Nigeria's first Governor General, and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa became the first Prime Minister. The newly formed government took on the massive task of nation building. The world looked to Nigeria, the giant of Africa, with high hopes. With its vast population, abundant natural resources, and growing influence, Nigeria was seen as a beacon for the rest of Africa, where independence movements were spreading like wildfire. But as much as there was celebration, there was also uncertainty. The challenges ahead were formidable. The divisions created by colonialism, regional, ethnic, and religious, remained. How would this young nation, so diverse in its people and in perspectives, navigate its future? The years after independence were a time of hope and optimism, but also of political tension. The new government faced the monumental challenge of creating a unified national identity. Ethnic rivalries began to emerge as different groups vied for power and representation in the federal structure. In 1966, 6 years after independence, Nigeria experienced its first military coup. Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was assassinated alongside several other leaders. This coup, led by a group of young army officers, was intended to end corruption, but instead unleashed a wave of instability. The fragile democracy crumbled, and soon a second coup followed, bringing General Yakubu Gowon to power. Then, in 1967, the nation was plunged into its darkest chapter, the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War. The eastern region, dominated by the Igbo people, declared independence as the Republic of Biafra, citing marginalization and violence against their people. The war that followed lasted for 3 years and claimed the lives of over 1 million Nigerians, many of them children, due to famine. The war ended in 1970 with Biafra's surrender, but the scars remained. Nigeria emerged from the conflict as a deeply fractured society. However, the end of the war also brought the hope of reconciliation. The policy of no victor, no vanquished, implemented by Gowon's government, sought to heal the nation, though the challenges of rebuilding were immense. The 1970s also brought an economic shift. Nigeria discovered vast oil reserves in the Niger Delta, positioning the country as a major player in the global oil market. The oil boom brought great wealth, but it also deepened corruption. Successive military regimes capitalized on oil revenues while failing to address the needs of the people. Meanwhile, environmental degradation in the Delta region sparked unrest among local communities. Nigeria's struggle for democracy continued. The nation swung between military and civilian rule throughout the 1980s and 1990s, with brief moments of hope, such as the short-lived Third Republic. In 1999, after years of military dictatorship, Nigeria transitioned to civilian rule, and Olusegun Obasanjo was elected president. Despite the return to democracy, the country continued to face challenges: corruption, insurgency in the northeast by Boko Haram, economic disparities, and regional conflicts. However, through all these hardships, Nigeria's spirit of resilience has remained strong. The Nigerian people have continually pushed for progress, for good governance, and for a united future. Nigeria's journey has been long and complex. Yet, through it all, the people of Nigeria have demonstrated unwavering strength and resilience.